All right, greetings YouTube to the Nameless Nerd Show, the show that is good and so good for you. Just remember, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, any interesting little ideas, just be sure to reach us at nerdsnameless@gmail.com. That is nerdsnameless@gmail.com. And speaking of what's good for you, we have another great review episode here, folks. Yes, for those of you who love the cheesy Destructo movies from the 90s, we're going to be exploring the ins and outs of Roland Emmerich. That sounds really bad, and his Independence Day franchise. And of course, we'll be discussing the new sequel, Independence Day Resurgence, which I saw earlier last week. I think it was Friday, if memory serves. And well, I personally loved. But before we even do that, I want to take it back a notch and talk about the guy Roland Emmerich. As one person said, he's like the gay little brother of Michael Bay. Well, what do you think, man? What do you think about Roland Emmerich, the person?
I don't care. He makes movies, you know. I mean, what else has he done besides Independence Day?
Seriously, you don't know any of his other movies?
What else has he done besides Independence Day that's worth talking about?
Well, he's done Stargate. You see 10,000 BC, The Day After Tomorrow, 2012, and let me see, White House Down, and a couple of others that I can't remember right off the top of my head. Actually, probably
And
a whole bunch of them.
did
Let me
not
see.
hear my lead in. I said worth talking about.
Oh, also Universal Soldier. I forgot about that.
Now, there you go. There's a movie. Now, they're both kind of weird because I'm going to take Universal Soldier and Stargate and explain that the source material was better than the end product, and he did it in the style that you would do a TV movie in. Because Stargate just ends so wrong, so flat, and just so off kilter. It just left me hanging. Universal Soldier, come
That one I didn't see. Universal
on.
Soldier. I've seen the others that I've listed though. I've seen all those others, except for White House Down. That one didn't really draw me, but only because that was a bit out of my range of movies that I particularly care about.
You
But
couldn't see White House Down as a sci-fi movie?
no, not really. I mean, it,
A white man as president?
what? It
I like the way you like.
had nothing to do with who was white or who was black. But
It's science fiction.
if you want to
You
believe
don't
that,
even get
yes,
you don't even get the parody of the joke. That's
those
okay.
high
What a wasted joke, man. I set up a perfect joke. I laid it out. I let you step into it slowly, step by step. I didn't even go who's on first, and
well,
you still missed the punchline.
that goes to show you, man. The joke is only as good as the people who get it. And I didn't get it, so sorry, your joke failed.
Tells you a lot about you. But anyway, here does Roland Emmerich do a good movie? Honestly, and let's be fair.
I think
Yes, he does.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah, he does.
I think he does fun movies. Just like to me, I mean that was really the reason why I kind of when I heard that thing about him being the gay little brother of Michael Bay, kind of tickled me because yeah, he and Michael Bay they're a lot alike in how they do movies, except Roland Emmerich has a little bit less of a juvenile sense of humor. So
Wow. Next time I see Michael Bay, I'll tell him you think he's juvenile and a. I'll tell him that you think he's juvenile and that he should be in a Chicago movie.
first of all, I did say he's juvenile. You can tell him that. You can. I'd say that to his face, even though I love his movies. But as the other thing, don't put words in my mouth.
What words did I put in your mouth?
You said something about Chicago movies.
I was trying to go in a roundabout way and not be exact about what I meant. There's
Okay.
a certain hey, okay, God, I got to break this down for you. There's a certain style of movie that is filmed usually in a Chicago suburb involving a little kid chasing people, and they're kind of juvenile, and it's always the kid wins, and he gets to snicker and laugh at the adults, kind of like Michael Bay does when he makes juvenile movies and laughs at adults for being angry for him making them. You get the picture I'm building there? I'm trying not to say something. So, okay, now that you're making me say it, let's get back to Emmerich, and let's be really fair. Um, his films do draw a crowd, and
God,
they draw a specific age group. They draw that fantastic, whimsical. I really wish everything would go boom, and let's see how much fun it is. Kid between the ages of 8 years old in knowledge, all the way up to 80. But his core group is somewhere between what would you say, 14 to 25?
yeah, a lot of his movies, especially a lot of the disaster movies he did back in the '90s. Yeah, they tend to be in the draw of like the teen to tween type crowds. So maybe this is the reason why I love him so much, because I fit right in that age range when I was watching a lot of his movies. I mean, I even liked Godzilla, and well, at least when it came out. I mean, now looking back on it, I don't like it as much. And let's see, there are a lot of movies that he's done that I didn't realize. Wow, he did The Patriot. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
and here I like the way that he directed Matthew Broderick.
You like the way he directed
I
Matthew?
like the way he directed Matthew Broderick. He got Matthew Broderick to be just a guy.
I don't know. I didn't like the way Matthew Broderick was in Godzilla. He was the weakest point of the movie, if you ask me. That he was so geeky that it was just cringeworthy watching him act that way.
If that movie were made today and he had to cast it, he would cast one of the Hemsworth brothers.
Well, he did cast one of the Hemsworth brothers in Independence Day Resurgence.
Okay, so we understand what I mean.
Anyway, yeah, and I think, and once again, bad setup for a joke, because I think you already knew that he did. So anyway, I mean, like I said, well, in the case of Roland Emmerich, I view him in the same way that I do Michael Bay. These are guys who are making movies to be fun movies, to be popcorn movies. They're not looking to win, big awards. I mean, he's done a couple of movies that are kind of highbrow, but in the end of the day, really didn't do very well. There's one, and I can't remember the name of it, but I think it was the one where he was trying to push that whole the theory that Shakespeare didn't create all his movies, didn't make all his plays. And
Well,
so,
it's obvious that Shakespeare didn't write all of his own plays.
okay, I'm going to pretend you didn't say that and move on.
Wait, hang on. Here, I'm going to be kind and I'm going to be serious. All right. I believe that Shakespeare is a very prolific writer, and I believe that he did write some of the best English language stories. And he took Greek tragedy to a new high. He took the thousand-year-old stories of the Greek tragedy and translated them into modern English for an audience that wanted to hear it. And in doing so, he thereby became one of the greatest writers. But I see in certain areas of Shakespeare where he veers so far off the page where just because it says Stephen King at the top doesn't mean it says William Shakespeare at the top, and it is William Shakespeare.
I'm sorry, but there was an episode of this show that I tend to watch called Brows Held High that talked about that particular movie that I'm thinking about. If I can never find it, I'll just check it out. But the guy who did it made some extremely good points to show that people who are they call themselves the anti-Stratfordians. That people who are anti-Stratfordians really don't know what they're talking about. The evidence is just too strong that Shakespeare wrote all this stuff. But I can't. I'm not the one to go in and defend that. And that would take us in a completely different direction. So let's get back to Roland Emmerich. I mean, let me see. I've seen Stargate. Stargate is by far one of my absolute favorite ones by him. And of course, we all know that Stargate was picked up by Showtime and then later by the Sci-Fi Channel into this series Stargate SG-1, Stargate Atlantis, and Stargate Universe. And all those series, I think, with the exception of Stargate Universe, were spectacular. Stargate Universe, they were just trying too hard to be Battlestar Galactica, but that's another story for another time. But the thing about it is this: that Roland Emmerich, and he was actually working with Dean Devlin in that movie. He actually had the reason why the ending felt so flat was because it was actually intended to be the first movie in a trilogy, but another company got the rights to do the movie and just wanted to make a TV series out of it. So Emmerich had nothing to do
Not
with
true.
it, and he actually does not like the fact that it was taken from him. In
I,
fact,
I agree. I agree about it being taken from him, but he did it like a TV movie. That's why it became a TV show.
it did kind of play out like that. I mean, Stargate is one of those movies that I just said, I say it like this. I love the movie, even though I know that it had some horrendous flaws. One being, no, you did not care about a single one of those characters. And the movie was trying to get by only with this flashy visual effects, well, flashy for the time. And so, an excessive use of the morph effect for the head crest things of the various guards and stuff like that. I mean, it was a cool and also the concept was what carried it. And I use that movie as an example to say that flashy visual effects do not a good movie make, and that's like a sort of a mantra of mine. And so I use Stargate as an example, even though, like I said, I loved Stargate. Um, Independence Day, we'll be getting to that in just a sec. I absolutely loved. I think it's his. I think it's one of his best movies. Let me see here.
Well,
Godzilla. Oh, go
well,
ahead.
in Stargate, in Stargate, you were cheering. You were secretly cheering for the antagonist in the movie.
Well, Jay Davidson did eat that role up as raw.
Now, I'm not even talking about the role or the actor. I'm talking about the way the story unfolded. I mean, because it left you feeling a little flat and a little out of sorts. You were cheering for the antagonist secretly. You're like, well, he's
Never
lived
been,
this long. Why shouldn't he live a little longer?
I've never been that kind of person who, if I see a movie that's bad enough, I actually start rooting for the bad guy. Sorry, I'm not like that. I'm not that much of a jerk.
Oh, so you
Um,
like Warner Brothers movies?
what you mean, like the superhero movies?
No, in a Warner Brothers movie, pretty much the rule is simple: the villain must die.
No, not
Crime
necessarily.
doesn't pay.
Not necessarily. I don't necessarily want a villain to die if he's a good enough villain and has earned his right to stick around. It's kind of like with the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. I think Nolan's original idea was to actually have the Joker in the third movie because the third movie was supposed to be the fallout from all the things the Joker did to Gotham. But of course, Heath Ledger died, so he couldn't put him in there, so he had to put in Bane instead. So, and I was glad the Joker didn't die in the second movie. As a matter of fact, it was like a moment of self awareness for the movie when he was like, even the Joker didn't want to kill Batman. He was like, I don't want to kill you. I like you. And you wanted the Joker to kind of hang around. So no, I'm not into those movies where the
This is the part where you watch me raise my hand.
and I'll keep watching you raise your hand. And so in the end,
And
listening
then
is
you're
that
going
I'm
to
not.
listen because, see, I tried to be polite to you. Now I'm going to intentionally be rude to you and point something out to you. When we talk about the Batman and the Joker, that'll be the 2 hours that I talk endlessly.
Okay, then I'll move away from that. You know what? I was almost done. You always need to do these things when I'm almost done,
Well,
and
well,
that's
here, why
my
don't you
train
just
of
put a
thought.
period on a sentence occasionally and actually be done?
Anyway, all I was going to say was that that's the reason why I'm not into movies where the villain dies unless there's just a good reason for it. Anyway, back to Roland Emmerich.
What's a good reason for a villain not to die? Hmm.
Well, if you like the villain enough and you want to see more of him and what other kind of mischief he can get into, then you don't want to see him die. At least not immediately. Or if he dies, have him die in a really crazy or even badass way. You know. For instance, in the Inheritance series books, the villain dies at the end, yes, but it is the most unbelievably badass way you could ever see him die. And I'm not going into that. I'm just saying that. So back to Roland Emmerich. See, he's done like stuff like he even did the TV series of Godzilla, the animated series. That's kind of
Yeah, he
interesting.
did. Yeah, he did, which was actually really good.
Yeah, I
It,
saw some
it,
of the episodes of it. I actually kind of liked it.
it was better written as an adult activity and an adult animated cartoon than it was as a children's cartoon. So you you have made this guy's pedigree very clear and supported that he can make an action movie. Now, so what?
Well, I'm just looking down his movie his filmography. You know, he's done the movies like The 13th Floor, which I didn't see, The Patriot, which I've seen a little bit of.
Now,
Um,
I got to give him credit on the 13th Floor. Okay. The 13th Floor is a science fiction movie. It gives you Bierko, Vincent D'Onofrio, and Dennis Haysbert, a cast that you wouldn't put together on a regular day. But the 13th Floor is a technology driven suspense murder mystery. And it's actually well written. I give that a lot of credit. And it's also done on a very low budget.
Now, some of these movies that I'm listing, he produced rather than directed, but
When you write the check to be the producer for a movie, you're writing the check. You agree with what goes on from the director's chair as well, but the director's in control. So if we want, here, let's be fair. Right now, you're rolling out this list of things that Roland Emmerich has done, and he's half good, half bad. And I'm also on the fence here, and I'm going to give a critique of him as a producer director. I would say that he's entertaining. And I would say thus far he's made nothing but B movies because every movie you've rolled off has been a matinee thrill, has been a
well,
matinee thrill ride.
The Patriot wasn't. The Patriot supposed to be a big budget kind of. I think it was supposed to be sort of an Oscar type, a candidate for Oscars. I don't know. This was done back in 2000, so it's been a while.
Watch this. The Patriot stars Mel Gibson, I think Heath Ledger.
I believe so. And he
Why don't
produced and
you're the
directed.
one looking at him. Why don't you get to answer the question?
I don't want to branch off too far into this rabbit hole, dude. And
You're the
yes,
one.
Mel Gibson and you see Mel Gibson, Heath Ledger, Jason Isaacs, Jolie Richardson, Chris,
Okay.
Tom.
Okay. Here, it was an entertaining movie, but still, I'm going down the list and watching how this movie was done. Yes, it was entertaining. Yes, it was dramatic. Yes, it was suspenseful. But it still had all of the elements of every other movie you just named, which pigeonholes it into a movie being for that core group of individuals that we've discussed, and it lands in the B movie category.
Uh, I don't know about that. Now the thing, now it's a pretty high rating of 62% on Rotten Tomatoes for a Roland Emmerich movie. Though it does have some criticism.
Even you, watch this. You're agreeing with me through statistics.
Well, yeah, but I still don't think that it was just one of those popcorn movies. But that's just my thoughts. You know, the way I've seen some of the Patriot and the way it plays out does not play out like the type of fare that Roland Emmerich is best known for. Let me see. He did Eight Legged Freaks, which I thought he hadn't done. No, turns out he did.
Okay.
Uh,
Did he direct it or produce? He probably directed that or assistant director. That's a little old.
he produced it, and
Okay.
let me see, executive producer, as a matter of fact. And now we're getting to the stuff that he's better known for. The Day After Tomorrow. He also did a movie called Trade. Then 10,000 BC, which I did see, and I'm one of the few people that actually liked that movie.
I
Uh,
liked it. It was entertaining. It was a steady matinee movie.
yeah, I mean that was one of those movies that when I saw it, and everybody was like peeing on it, and one of the biggest gripes they had was like it's not historically accurate, and I wanted to find each and every one of those people and smack them so hard their heads spin off their necks, just say it wasn't supposed to be, you idiots. It was supposed to be just a nod to old, like, historically inaccurate caveman movies from like the black and white era. I mean, they had made a whole bunch of those things, and so Roland Emmerich was just doing that. I mean, it was just supposed to be fun. Like
Well,
you forgot how to have fun, huh?
but here in a world where there are two worlds of film. There is the world of film before 1976, and then there's the world of film after. And then there's been a shift since then as well. But you do realize that there's a movie called Earthquake.
Yeah, I know about that movie. I've seen it.
which is which is an action flick, and it is designed to create realism and give that tangential feel of you're in the moment and this could really happen to you. That came along at a time when we were making that shift from movies are obviously not about what you think they're about. They're all make believe, and you can see the strings and you can see the cardboard cutouts and you can do all of this. Let's make them look more real. That was the beginning of that cycle with Earthquake. And later came along the 1979 version, I think, of King Kong starring Kurt Russell.
Oh God, that's that dumb thing.
But still, these movies all have a place in making that shift from you can tell that it's fake to making you feel that it's real. Now we've had an entire generation of people since the mid 70s to today who are accustomed to seeing movies, film that looks like it could potentially be real. And so when you present them something that's out of their mindset of that can't be real, the first thing they do is stand up and go, that can't be real. The mastodons were not available when cave people walked around. It doesn't matter how inaccurate it was. The question was it entertaining?
Yeah, and that's what I tell people who when they go and see a movie that's that's obviously a popcorn flick, and they overanalyze it. I mean, hell, I was on a friend's show, and we talked about Independence Day Resurgence, which I'll get to that sooner or later.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did you just tell me? Did you just tell me this is the second time you're doing this?
Yeah,
Okay, so you're telling me you went on someone else's show before you went on your own show to talk about what you were going to talk about on your show.
yeah,
How many people from that show are listening to this one right now?
don't know.
How many people listen to that one? What I'm telling you is, don't be selling me out. Don't be wasting my time. I want you to come in here and I want to be the first person you talk to about a movie. You don't talk to nobody else without my permission.
Anyway,
Yeah, you think I'm joking? Don't make me crawl through the internet and find your house, because if I crawl out in somebody else's house, I'm gonna strangle them first.
um,
This is important to us. This is what we do. We are the Nameless Nerds, and we are the ones who tell you what you should go watch in the movie theaters and what you should be reading and what you should be doing and what you should be writing. If it doesn't happen here first on the internet, it doesn't happen anywhere on the internet. And
tell
we're
me
the
what
first
you
ones to
think,
say so.
internet. I don't know how to think on my own. Anyway.
You're correct. You don't know how to think on your own. That's why you need us.
Mhm.
Back to our scheduled show.
2012 was of course one that was another one I saw, which yeah, that one was just kind of silly. The whole Earth being thrown into a second ice age. I mean, and also that one I couldn't. I mean, I liked it, but I mean, it was just kind of weak. I didn't understand what was going on, what it caused the whole deep freeze thing, and so I mean, it was still pretty
Oh
cool.
no, no, no. That's the day after.
Yeah, day after tomorrow.
No, you said 2012.
Oh, good lord! I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
what was
I
it?
got those two mixed up.
They're
Yeah,
both bad enough to be interchanged.
no, 2012. 2012. I had one person. I knew one person I was talking to about that movie, and they were just talking about Roland Emmerich movies. And then I mentioned one thing for 2012 that just made him lose it. And I said the neutrinos are mutating. And
That
he
is funny. That was funny. Here, as a science geek, that's a funny thing to hear. The neutrinos are mutating.
I was like, that movie, just that line in that movie was what destroyed all credibility for that movie. I
Well,
enjoyed it,
amongst other
but
things,
holy crap, that was dumb.
amongst other things, but but that one was harsh. That one was harsh.
Well, that
Okay.
was the whole thing. The whole crux of that movie was because the neutrinos mutated into a new type of neutrino. I'm like, okay, bye. Anyway, let me see. Anonymous. That's the movie that I was talking about. The thing about William Shakespeare. Whole thing, the anti-Stratfordian thing. And let me see here. He also directed a movie called Dark Horse. So I
Yeah.
don't know about that.
Yeah. It's one of those films that when you see it, you go, yeah, okay, that was cool. And then you'll move on. Oh yeah, that's most of his stuff.
Yeah, the let me see, White House Down, of course. That one I didn't see, or well, somebody was watching it at their house, but I just happened to see it just in pictures. I really wasn't paying attention to it. I mean, good lord, that was like wall to wall action there. I mean, that was action porn. Jeez, but
I do here. Can I beat that movie up a little bit?
beat it up all you want. I never
No,
saw
no, no. White House Down. I understand the audience, and it's kind of like it's a commercial for Black Ops. It's
it.
a commercial for Army Rangers. It's a patriotism flag. It is. It is. Look me in the face when I tell you this. It is patriotism porn.
Basically, yeah, like action porn. You say patriotism porn, so
No, no, it's patriotic porn because our country will never falter. We will stand up. We're more than one person, and one man can save us. Wait, you said we're more than one person, but one man can save us. Why does that make sense? It, let's put it this way: if you set that movie up and told a bunch of third graders to go play cowboys and Indians, or go play cops and robbers, or any such thing, you would find that third graders would have given you a better production than that. But I will admit the choreography was good. The cinematic drama was great. The image, the set makeup was great. Everything around the movie. But you could have said, "Here's an M60. Go play with it." Okay.
I guess people who went to go and watch that movie, they 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 probably are the same kinds of guys who play Call of Duty all day long.
It was Call of Duty. It was Call of Duty.
Call of Duty
Um,
the movie.
Actually, no. If you look on the if you look on the internet, you'll see a game called Battlefield 3. There's a scene where they are at the White House. It was just that movie. It was just that scene from the game that long. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you what. I'm so convinced that White House Down was such a bad movie. I'm going to delete it from my server
Okay.
as we
Well,
speak.
well,
You're
the
very
next,
convincing. Thank you for your upkeep and your great ideas and your charming wit and your wonderful humor and your insight into film. You're such a wonderful person.
you have a talent for showering people with sarcasm. You know that, right?
Don't worry, it comes with the bar of soap.
Anyway, he did Stonewall. That was his next thing on here, and I didn't realize that he
Now,
that was
I'm not familiar with
about the
Stonewall.
Stonewall. What?
I'm not familiar with that.
It's about the Stonewall riots I think it was a gay community in New York City.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's all I really know about it. But and then of course Independence Day Resurgence, which we'll be talking about shortly enough. But before we do that, we are going to rewind a little bit back to 1996 to talk about
Took you long enough. It only took you 29 minutes.
anyway. To talk about Independence Day. Now, of course, those of you guys who've never seen this movie, you need to watch this movie. I mean, this pretty much sums up the whole deal of the disaster movies of the 90s. The 90s kind of had rekindled love of disaster movies, stuff that was
Do
very
you
70s.
know why?
No, I do not.
Do you want to know?
Go ahead.
Oh, I can wait till you're done. Go ahead.
No, you say, I want to know. Tell me.
We were coming into the end of the century. People were screaming gloom and doom and had been screaming gloom and doom since 1980. The world is coming to an end. And so Hollywood said, okay, we'll give you what you asked for. Start pouring on a bunch of disaster movies, which in the previous 20 years before that were filled with nothing but disaster movies as well. So as you see, disaster movies happen roughly once every 20 years.
Well, we were long overdue for the next the next
The sky
great,
is falling, Chicken Little.
which by the way is a terribly underrated movie. Anyway, Let me see. So, we got Independence Day, which came out in '96. I remember when I saw the first posters for this movie. It was this. They showed the whole view of the Earth, and then kind of the underside of the spaceship, as if you're kind of just watching it on approach. And it said, "Earth, take a good look. It may be your last." And I was just like, "What is this?" Because I just saw the way the spaceships looked, those big city destroyer things. I was like, "This really looks cool." I was like, what, I wonder what's going to happen with this movie. So I remember this was, of course, before the internet was really widespread, and so, I only the only information from movies I got was what little bit I could squeeze out, from the internet. Oh, yeah, it was when the internet had just started becoming popular because I was I started
Did you
college.
say 1996?
Yeah.
Did you have the internet? You used to have to wind up.
No, but I was in college, and it had a computer room in the library, which was hooked up to the internet by an unusually fast connection. And this was, of course, before we had enough bandwidth to have videos for YouTube and things like that. So things came in kind of at a trickle. But I did keep up with movie news, and so I
I,
looked up information about Independence Day, and
I,
I
I
just kept
guess I
feeling.
guess I've just been on the cutting edge of the internet way longer than you have. Because I'm like, 96. It was that hard to get on the internet in 1996.
No, the '96, the internet was really starting to pick up in popularity. I mean, it was really, I think, starting. It didn't start getting popular, I think, until like around '94. I remember one of my friends had well, either it was CompuServe or America Online. I just remembered how slow it was, and yeah, I didn't get the internet at home until probably, yeah, about '96 or '97. My dad was always really slow to adopt new technology.
You're really serious, aren't you?
I'm dead serious. My
Okay.
dad was very slow to adopt new technology. He
Okay.
really had a big problem with having the internet at first. He didn't see any real use for it. Yeah.
You make me not only feel really smart, but really old.
No, it's because you are old. But that's another story for another time.
But you don't understand. I've been on the internet continuously since 1989.
Oh well, yeah. That's when you just had network. It wasn't really so much an internet. It was just a network of college computers.
Uh, no, I've had a home computer since 1986.
Yeah,
I've been
you were
on.
one of the first generation of like what were those folks called? Not script kiddies. Y'all had the multi-user domains and things like that.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, that and you had what was that? Wasn't called chat rooms. It was BBS. That's where you were. So you're one of the first. You're the first generation BBSers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but that wasn't. Yeah, that wasn't. It was a type of internet, I guess you could call it, but it was more just like as a college computers that were being networked, or
Wow.
you had to hook up your computer and have it talk to a computer at a college, a university, in order to start talking to other computers. You didn't have commercial internet for like how stuff that AOL and CompuServe and stuff and Prodigy brought forth. When they started really peddling the internet to household to become a household thing.
I'm sorry. That's an entire 2-hour conversation as well because my mind is running in circles, going, "You didn't get on the internet until after 1996, huh? Okay, I believe you."
Yeah, I didn't really start getting on the internet till I was in college, and that was in '95. And I didn't start using it heavily till '96. And so yeah, I've been pretty much a internet user since '96. Serious internet user. But anyway,
I'm trying to get up off you.
it's no problem. This I think was a necessary detour. So what I was trying to say about Independence Day is that when I saw the posters, it really captivated me, and so I went on the internet and kind of inhaled every little bit of information I could find about the movies, because I get. I don't know if you understand just how much I absolutely love sci-fi. If something interests me and it's sci-fi, I'm going to go at it hard. And Independence Day was one of those things. I went hard at it.
Oh wow, okay.
That sounds like
I'm a
that.
sci-fi fan too, man. Here, you know what? Let me confess and let,
I'm a
let me
rabid sci-fi fan.
No. Here, are we talking sci-fi reader, sci-fi movie, or sci-fi magazine, or sci-fi comic book? There are
Y-
differences.
yes.
All the above.
Comic
Okay.
books not as much as I used to be, but everything else, yes.
Okay. For the purposes of this, we will stick to movies. Okay. I don't want to drag you too far off, and I'm going to be friendly about this. What's your oldest, fondest sci-fi movie?
Tron.
That's as far back as you go.
Let me think. Well, no, I mean Star Wars.
Okay, just
Tron
checking.
is but Tron is the one that that really hooked me, made me drool. You know.
Yeah, the question is that as far back as you go?
Well, I was born in '77.
Doesn't matter when you're born. Give you an idea. There's a movie called Runaway, which stars Gene Simmons from Kiss and Tom Selleck. Horrible movie. Great science fiction movie.
I think that combination of names just caused a fissure to appear in my brain.
Yeah, because Tom Selleck and his actor in the movie, and Gene Simmons is in the movie without his makeup. So it's very funny that way. But I'm just giving you a gut check. That was 1984. So you're telling me that your line in the sand is Star Wars and Tron is your movie, whereas I'm thinking for myself, my movie is The Day the Earth Stood Still, the first
Well, yeah, I mean that. If you're talking about like the movie from the earliest point in time that I really love, let me see. Trying to think, what movie have I seen that one? Maybe the original Time Machine, the 1960s version of of that movie.
one. Okay, cool. And actually, the original Time Machine, I think, was made in '56, but that's okay. One of my favorites as well. But I'm also Fantastic Voyage, which I really don't want to see remade again.
Oh, I love Fantastic Voyage.
Do you want to see it remade? Yes or no?
I think it depends on what the
Watch this.
disaster they're going to be facing is. I mean, as goofy as it was in the first movie, the whole explosion of the Van Allen belt of radiation, I actually thought that they played it off very seriously and played it really, really well. The character interactions really made it, and the whole movie was a real a white knuckle suspense movie. It was really, really good. So, despite the silly premise of it, so I think I'd like to see what they can do with it because the movie is fairly old and not a lot of people, at least our generation, really remembers Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. So,
Not Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. Fantastic Voyage.
oh good lord, I'm sorry, man. I was thinking of
No, it's okay. I know both movies, and I knew which one you were
um,
talking about, and
yeah,
I knew which one I said. Fan-
Sci-Fi Channel did a version of Fantastic Voyage several years back, but you didn't really hear much of it. So
yeah,
no, I really don't think we should do another one. Besides, we've done other movies with people getting shrunk down and going into human bodies. I mean, you remember the movie Inner Space with Dennis Quaid?
which is actually a remake of Fantastic Voyage, but in a different way. I mean, Fantastic Voyage, the original story. We're in this man's brain for a reason.
Yeah, they were trying to save his life.
Well, yeah, but all about Fantastic Voyage. Great movie, great idea, good writing, really nicely done. For the time period, they did the best that they could do. But the reason I don't want to see it remade again today is Fantastic Voyage had everything wrong with it. It had a femme fatale. It had the other non-Native American person. It had the outsider with the British character.
Oh, you're the standard cast of one of those types of movies.
And so today, that movie's not going to be entertaining to someone our age.
The
My
thing,
age, your age. It's just not going to be entertaining.
well, the thing with Fantastic Voyage was just is the thing I didn't like about it was that the motives of the villain, who turned out to be a surprise, didn't feel genuine to me. I mean, they really didn't fully explain why he was sabotaging the ship. I mean, he was just crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a film that just cut and dry. I wouldn't want to see made today. The Day the Earth Stood Still, even though Keanu Reeves has stood behind making that movie, he has still also said that the original was better. Michael.
Oh God, yes. I'm sorry. That's one of those movies I really did not like. I was very disappointed by. They
I
should
wanted
not have
I
remade
wanted
that movie
something different. I wanted a different message. I wanted something.
instead of an
I wanted
inane environmental message. Yeah.
I wanted something different. That was simple as it gets. I wanted something
Yeah,
different.
yeah, I agree. Well, let's before we start going back too far down the time tunnel, let's go back to Independence Day. Okay, so like I said, I inhaled every last bit of information I could find about this movie. Just wanted to know everything about it, especially even what the aliens looked like and stuff like that. And that was one thing that highly impressed me was what the aliens looked like in the movie when they finally showed them. I even used to have one of the toys that they had made these aliens with the little tiny alien thing that fit inside the exoskeleton thing. So and I also like the casting. I still have the comic books that were the prelude to Independence Day that told of the events that led up to it. For all the people's different points of view, the main characters in the movie. And so, this one came up, and of course, everyone learned, Will Smith was going to be in this. It was another big, thing because, people like Will Smith. He was still riding high from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And interestingly enough, I didn't know this until the other day, but he had been in Bad Boys before Independence Day. So, a lot of people liked that movie, so they wanted to see a little bit more of Will Smith. This is the movie, however, that really showed off Will Smith as a bankable Hollywood character and really made him into a big Hollywood star. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was really cool. Bad Boys was really cool, but this was just phenomenal. It's kind of an odd thing that this movie became such a phenomenon. Let me see here. He said that Emmerich had come up with the idea for the film while promoting Stargate in Europe. So, this is a whole. And I think he's kind of obsessed with the whole deal about alien life. And so, I guess he just wanted to make, a big, movie where the aliens come in and try to blow up the human race in the biggest way possible, showing all the destruction of the major cities. The plot of the story is pretty much that simple. Aliens come, they start wrecking the major cities, and then we mount a defense. The aliens at first appear to be too powerful, then we find a weakness in their defenses, exploit that weakness, and hooray, the human race wins. But I think what people really liked about the movie is that it focused really well on the characters. That in spite of it being pretty much a juiced up B movie, you had characters who you actually cared about, and they did pretty good performances. Bill Pullman was very believable as a president. Will Smith did an outstanding job as a pilot. Nathan Hiller. Let me see. I'm trying to look up the cast here. Give me just a second. Okay. Jeff Goldblum plays, of course, Jeff Goldblum always just seems to play himself in a lot of his movies, especially if he's a scientist. He's always this weird, idiosyncratic kind of guy. And, of course, people just love Jeff Goldblum. And so, he did a great job. Let me see here. Judd Hirsch, playing the crotchety Jewish dad. A lot of people found his character maybe annoying. I actually kind of liked him. Let me see. Randy Quaid's character is that guy who was the alcoholic who had, claimed to have been kidnapped by the aliens before and was just kind of letting his life going to go on a downward slide until the aliens come. Who was that lady? Oh, good grief! Can't remember her name right off the top of my head. It was the lady who was the stripper who had the son that Will Smith's character was in love with. Vivica Fox.
Sometimes it's best for me just to be quiet.
Like I'm saying, even the ones who had smaller roles did a great job. Brent Spiner, playing the crazy, almost mad scientist at Area 51. You could tell he was having the time of his life playing that character, regardless. And I love Brent Spiner because, of course, I'm a Star Trek fan, and Data was like one of my favorite characters in the series. And I think I'm missing one. Oh well. I didn't know this. I'm looking at the cast, and I didn't know Frank Welker did the alien voice effects. And for those of you who don't know who Frank Welker is, he's done a plethora of voices for various cartoon characters over the years. He is most famous for doing the voice for Megatron in the original Transformers. So it's kind of surprising that I see him doing it. He also did the voice of Dr. Claw in Inspector Gadget. So when you hear someone talking like this, it's probably Frank Welker. Anyway,
That very well.
thank you. Um, I mean, I do voices myself, but that's another story for another time. So, the story starts off, and the way that the story plays out with a 3-act part, and it does July 2nd, then July 3rd, and then July 4th. So that was also really a cool little way of doing it, if you ask me. Do you have anything to say about this thus far?
Doesn't matter. Keep going.
Well, okay. He So it does sort of a 3-act thing that where the aliens come, and well, the first, it's just the weird effects of the TV signals, and then when the aliens finally come, they position themselves around a major city. People think they're going to communicate, but then Jeff Goldblum's character finds the weird interruption of the signal is actually sort of a countdown among all the ships. And he tells everyone to get out of the cities, but it's too late. But then after that, you have them trying to, after all the destruction, they mount an attack. Find that the aliens have these shields that our weapons can't penetrate, and then they head to they regroup at Area 51, where they find out that the people at Area 51, the whole Roswell incident was actually true, and we had known about the aliens for years, but no one had ever bothered to tell the president. And, and so they learn about the alien technology there, and then through accident they happen to upload a computer virus into the aliens' computers, which causes their shields to go down, and so they mount one last ditch attempt to try to destroy the ships. Manage to bring the shields down by uploading the virus into the mothership that's in orbit beyond Earth's moon, using the alien spacecraft that had crashed at Roswell so long ago. And so and of course, by using that virus, it manages to shut down the shields, and they also blow up the alien mothership, and then they destroy the alien ships around the world, and once again, human race wins. Simple plot, but like I said, each of the characters were really what made the movie, gave the movie a lot of heart, and it was very, very very patriotic in some regards. It was kind of hefty, pushing the whole, be proud to be an American kind of thing, even though they did show, some of the stuff that was going on all over the world at a later point in the movie. So, and I like I said, I found the movie to be really enjoyable. The visual effects and everything like that, what they used to, blow up the cities, at the time were top-notch and spectacular, even though they were still using models and camera perspectives and such. Now, I think the explosion effects they used CG with that, if memory serves. But and then of course the aerial dogfights against the alien ships, which the ships and the alien technology and the aliens themselves really look cool. As I said, I had a toy of one of those things. I really wish I still had it, but I think the dog got a hold of it, if memory serves. It bites. No pun intended. But it's a movie that is remembered very fondly. I mean, hell, nowadays, I think on Fox they still air it every July 4th. So I'm probably gonna watch it again. Now here's the. I mean, do you have anything else to say about this, man? Well, you've been very, very quiet.
Because there's no period in your sentences. Not only did you tell the entire plot, story, and almost script of the movie, you left nothing out.
Well, if people don't know about most people have seen this movie, unless you're relatively young, and so spoilers don't count when you're talking about a movie that's almost 20 years when it's 20 years old. Excuse me.
I'm not talking about the spoilers part. I'm talking about take a damn breath.
Okay, I'm taking a breath. Well, do you have anything to say?
Okay. Out of all the people that you named that are in the movie, you skipped the one person in the movie who affected actors in the movie the most. And there are two. A gentleman named Robert Loggia and Harry Connick Jr.
Well, Harry Connick Jr. had a very small part. He was the pilot that died.
And back up the train, they had a large effect upon the actors in the movie. For one, when you add a person like Harry Connick Jr., a piano virtuoso and jazz singer, to an ensemble that is literally comedy drama, and most of the actors in the movie are comedians. When you step back from the movie and realize it, Vivica A. Fox is definitely um, comedy, lighthearted, driven. Bill Pullman is a little bit more to the Dumb and Dumber side of things than he is to the Independence Day side of things. Will Smith was coming from comedy. Robert Loggia has played the serious, straight parental role in most comedies. So there are a lot of comedic elements to this film, and for it to come to the screen and be billed as a action drama was actually a really good call on the director and producer part to make that come about.
Well, it was
And
more drama than a comedy. I mean, even drama shows have some comedic elements in them.
and to bring that cast together and put them in front of you in that manner, and then add a Harry Connick Jr. who brings improvisation, who brings an early acting style that hadn't been tested yet to the screen was great. And
Wait,
then
wait, wait. Back it up. Early acting style that hadn't been tested. With Harry Connick Jr., I can probably read aloud all the lines he had in this movie from memory.
I'm not debating that. I'm giving you information. I'm looking at what goes on behind the scenes in between takes. I'm looking at what didn't make it to the screen. I'm looking at how loose and willing and forthcoming the actors are on screen. You know, things you don't see.
I I actually managed to describe a few how the acting of a few of these characters. You
And,
know,
and I'm discussing how that got to be that way. I'm discussing what I want to talk about.
okay.
That's all. I'm not saying that it has to be one way or the other.
Now, what's this other character that you tried to mention? You had gave me this long name, and I didn't
Robert Loggia.
Robert Loggia. Oh,
Yeah,
Loggia. Okay. Oh, him. The guy who was the general in the movie.
yeah.
Yeah,
And see,
he died not too long after the movie came out, didn't he?
and what you don't realize about Robert Loggia is his background is in dramatic roles, in being the serious straight guy, even though he had moved to comedy as the dad for a little bit. And I don't know why I kept skipping over Mary McDonnell's name, even though she's the right person for the role. And she has been the go to actress for the last 30 years if you want to send a dramatic, well meant message to your audience, you want to have Mary McDonnell do it.
Oh, here he died in 2015. Okay, it's in the second movie he did have like a very small appearance in like a television thing, but they that's about it. He died not too long after doing that.
See, I'm just, I'm verklempt. But anyway, in going forward with the original movie, even Randy, I'm looking at the list now myself. Even Randy Quaid had did several comedic roles by that time too, because he was coming off of Chevy Chase's Christmas Vacation prior to that, and he had been in a lot of humorous roles. Matter of fact, he was the comic relief in this movie in an awkward way. Were you familiar with that?
No, I did not. I don't know much about Randy Quaid.
Obviously, Dennis Quaid's brother. Just
I
as a
did not
piece,
know he was Dennis Quaid's brother.
just as a piece of information for you. And Randy Quaid used to be a rough and tumble guy. He used to be the goofball or the crazy uncle or the mentally disturbed person in most of his roles. And then he started edging toward comedy. And he went comedic for a while. And making him the alcoholic parent of three Hispanic children and a pilot in this movie actually was the comedic relief. and I think it actually worked well. In a hall full of comedians, he was the comedic relief.
Yeah, well, his character, well, it was both kind of comedic and sad at the same time, because you see this person who obviously let his life grind itself down into the ground, and it seemed like it was all because of that. Oh, that's right, it was because he was taken by the aliens and no one believed him. So
Well, yeah, that was part of the downside of his thing. He was a town drunk. He was the town jester, the town fool. But out of all the comedians on the screen, he was the comedic relief. I mean, think about it. Did you not laugh at his character at some point?
a couple of points, but it just
Okay.
I felt kind of sorry for him, to be completely honest.
Well, that's like feeling sorry for Peter Weller's character in RoboCop.
uh, you're supposed to feel sorry for. Oh, okay, I got.
There you go, man. Just a little ribbon. But
Anyway,
in discussing the original movie, you've talked about the movie. You haven't discussed it. There's been no discussion about it.
well, I wanted to get out how I felt about the movie first before we even get into any kind of discussion, and I want to also make sure it can fit into the time that we have, so we can get the other movie in. Well, so I mean, I see that you really are hooked on the characters of this movie. Now,
I'm hooked on other things about the movie too, but the way you've dragged the conversation, there's nothing to talk about but the characters. Here, for me, the cinematography was great. The use of lighting was excellent. Not a lot of lens flare. I do believe that the reveal of the aliens inside of the film was dealt with as best it could be using compressed foam in some areas to create your alien, which wasn't a bad thing or a bad idea. I do see that. In fact, one of the amazing things about this film, and you won't think of it this way sitting in your living room watching it, the sound. This movie in the theater had a sound that was not something you could duplicate
oh, the
at home.
sound mixing.
Yeah,
See,
you couldn't duplicate that at home at the time.
that's what I like about talking about these things with you, because you look at the movies on an angle that even I haven't really looked at, from like from an actual director's angle, from someone who knows how to actually
Yeah,
make a film. See, I don't know diddly about making films. I might be able to write a film script if you teach me how, but as for actually making that film, I'm sorry, no. Um,
because okay, you've seen GI Joe and you've seen Transformers, right?
I've seen some of GI Joe, but yeah.
For this purposes, yeah. Okay, in all three of these films, there's an attack on a military base. In Transformers, the attack on the military base, where the Decepticons come up and bomb the base.
Yeah, it was Scorponok, the big scorpion creature.
Right, cool. Okay, a very similar scene occurs in the original GI Joe movie. Great, and there's also the base attack in Independence Day. They all three have similar elements to them as far as lighting, horizon, the cinematography, the long shot, matter of fact, the long and wide shot, and from inside. Yeah,
I don't know about that, because I can actually, because I have actually seen Independence Day about half a million times, and I'm pretty well versed in how Michael Bay likes to do a lot of his stuff. The base attacks in Transformers, Michael Bay likes to kind of lay the camera low and look at things as they're happening, so it looks like it's jumping right up into you. It makes you feel like you're there, like everything is going on. That the action is happening, and you're running with the crowd, and the thing is coming towards you. Whereas Roland
you
Emmerich
understand?
tends to
You
do a
understand how that's done from Bay's perspective?
I know he tends to hold his cameras low and kind of keep the lens pop up. He loves to do those up shots and wide sweeping things. He loves to do the up shots and the wide sweeping angles. Hello? Well, I guess we kind of lost him.
No, you didn't lose me. Come on now. You
So,
didn't lose me. I'm right here.
okay, well, you said then you know how he likes to do that. I was like, yeah, he keeps the camera kind of low. He loves to do those up shots, and then other scenes he likes to do wide sweeping angles.
Well, it's a little bit more than that. There's something else going on that you don't see, which is you have maybe in a production like that, you have 4 to 6 cameramen who are with mobile steady cams on, which comes with a headgear piece. There's a leveler which attaches to your lower thigh and a waistband that allows you to run with the camera. The camera stays at a steady set, and you can continue to achieve your shot. And he has those guys running with the actors and moving into the scene and moving through the green screen, capturing the footage. And sometimes, in those cases, even the cameramen are in green screen suits so that they can be digitized out much easier. But the reason I'm comparing all three of those movies, and specifically the airbase shot in this particular instance, is when you listen to just the audio for Independence Day, it will give you PTSD. It is so much closer to the real deal and the real sound that you have no clue what you're listening to until you look up and see it. And it's just the way it goes as far as real world photography goes.
Yeah, that's interesting. When it comes to sound mixing, I don't know if I personally I think Michael Bay does some things better, but in the case of Independence Day, you're right with the whole sound mixing there. Yeah, I mean when you're trying to make certain sounds that that you're trying to maybe say are otherworldly, I guess you have to do some pretty creative mixing. I mean, it just reminds me of Jurassic Park when they mixed all these different animal sounds to make the dinosaur sounds.
Well, with the Michael Bay argument, once again, go back and look at any Transformers movie, because here I look at 3 Transformers movies as one film continuous from where I stand. And then I simply look at G.I. Joe. The battle sounds in G.I. Joe are muted. They're played down on purpose. The battle scenes in Transformers, especially the one when they're in Chicago in the wingsuits, in that movie, the battle sounds don't sound real to me. But then
Well,
again, I've also been in a firefight, so
I
I
guess,
know the difference between the three. And I'm definitely telling you, Independence Day, I was looking for somebody with a gun.
well, in the case of Transformers, Mike, he was trying to mix together sounds that would make sort of maybe an alien, a technological alien sound, and so he mixed together a lot of really low buzzes and strange, clacking and gear winding
Uh,
sound.
I'm not talking about from the robots. I'm talking about from the military side.
Oh, well, if you're which Transformers are you talking about?
All of them.
Okay, because I know that later on in some of the films, the military was using weapons that were Cybertron technology, but so if you're saying it's coming from the first one, if from all of them, well, I don't know. I,
Yeah. Here,
I guess I'd have to
all,
go back and watch the first
the,
to know what you're
the
talking about.
sounds are cut down. They're muted. They don't sound authentic or traditional. They're very good. It's a very good sound mix. I'm not beefing that. I'm just telling you, in Independence Day, hey, that give you a cause to go call your sponsor and give you PTSD. It was that kind of sound because it was shocking. It was surprising. It was there. It was
Okay, because
very prescient. It was very there.
when I saw the whole alien attack scene at Area 51, to me it didn't look well. I mean, it was pretty harrowing when you had just the alien ships coming in and just blasting everyone. But I guess I didn't pay much attention to the sounds, and I've never been in the military, so I wouldn't. I guess I wouldn't know how to associate that. I mean, it's like with the movie Saving Private Ryan, and a lot of people who had watched the movie had been in World War II, and it gave them, flashes of PTSD. Some people had to be carried out of the movie theater because they had a nervous breakdown.
Okay, you beat up the old movie for a long time now.
All right. Well, in the end of the day, what I'm saying is that it was a juiced up B movie. What more can you say about that? But for some reason, it hit a chord with people. And I mean, I know. Here's the interesting thing. Um, Roland Emmerich had actually wanted to make a sequel not too long after the movie, but got bogged down in other priorities, of course. But then, of course, now you have 2016 come around, and so he goes on ahead, and now he has a new movie, Independence Day Resurgence, a movie that takes place 20 years after the first. Now, before I go into this, do you have anything to say about this, man?
Yeah, the premise sucks.
What, the aliens coming back after 20 years?
Okay, that's the first thing. Okay, now, I'm going to admit, I don't need to see this movie to talk about it.
Have you seen it?
I don't need to have seen this movie to talk about it. Let me give you an example.
I do believe you're going to find out that yes, you do. Yes, you have.
Watch the writer and me come out and let me leave the director behind. Hey,
Writer,
they're pissed off that we beat them. No one's ever done this to them the way that we did. They sent a signal out into space. We thought that they were transient. They're not. They need our planet. They called their homies. Their homies showed up and started shooting at us. How good am I doing so far?
Not very.
You bullshit.
No, I'm not. There's something that happened in the movie that shows that there are other. Okay, before I even go on, ladies and gentlemen, this is Spoiler City. Okay, so if you have not seen this movie, I recommend you stop, go watch the movie, come back and listen to the recording of our broadcast, and so we can get into this. Now, so with all that behind us, spoiler warning ended. No, you are that you haven't really gotten it right. All that you really haven't gotten it right.
I didn't get it wrong either.
No, you have gotten it wrong on several things. First of all, the aliens do need our planet, and number two, it wasn't they weren't coming back to finish us off because no one had ever beaten them that way before. As a matter of fact, there's in the movie the first aliens to visit them on the second go round actually aren't the ones that had come in the first time. As a matter of fact, there's this big moment in the movie where you see this big sort of rift open above the moon and this huge spherical ship come out. And people who have had telepathic contact with the aliens since the war have been seeing this vision of some strange symbol which resembles the ship that has just come in over the moon. And so you have Jeff Goldblum's character, even the president, telling the council, because the world is now sort of at peace, all the nations are working together in self-defense in case the aliens do come back, which they knew they would come back. As a matter of fact, they said in the movies that we knew they would come back. Anyway, so Jeff Goldblum's character, the president, and several other people are telling them this is not the same technology. It does not look like the aliens. This is something different. But no, the World Council basically says no, blow it out the sky. So they do. Fortunately, there's a piece of the ship that survives that has some sort of strange spherical object in there. They bring it to Area 51, and it's another alien. But before, and this alien is basically telling them that it's been gathering other races that have withstood that. They call them the Harvesters, which have withstood the Harvesters, and have been basically training them to fight back on a sanctuary world that's well protected against them. So, and now that I've basically dislodged an entire hunk of the movie, now you see that it's not quite the way you thought.
Okay. Here's a question that I do have for you. Now, actually, go ahead. Continue.
No. Ask your question. I'm very curious.
My question doesn't make sense. You know, kind of like having a conversation sometimes just doesn't make sense. Go ahead. Please continue on.
No question, sir.
Now, it's not a dumb question. It simply doesn't make sense at this juncture. Quit asking me to ask it. Go on.
Fine. So, back to where I was saying in the very beginning, you really delight in derailing my train of thought, by the way. So, 20 years later, the human race is now stands as one at peace, and has basically reverse engineered a great deal of the aliens' technology. It apparently just seems that it's only been used for military purposes rather than civilian, because you still have cars that roll around on the ground and use gas, whereas you have things like helicopters that seem to use the anti-grav technology. Yeah, and they have an outpost on the moon where they've built weapon placements all over the Earth, and a lot of the cities that have been destroyed have been rebuilt. And so what happens is that Jeff Goldblum's character is called Levinson. That's his name. Levinson is called out to a place in Africa where these African warlords had been fighting a ground war against the aliens for the past 20 years, because one of the ships, when the other ships went down and the mothership was destroyed, this ship just went dead. But the aliens inside were still alive, and they had started coming out and fighting a ground war, like I said, against these folks down below in the African savannah. Well, they go inside the ship now that it's safe. They basically killed off all the aliens, or at least most of them, to the point where that area is safe. And they go inside and find out that this ship had been broadcasting a beacon that entire time, some sort of a distress signal out into deep space for 20 years. And now people are starting to have dreams of something terrible coming. People who have had telepathic contact with the aliens. Some of the African warlords, especially their leader, the president, who, of course, had been communicated to with the aliens. Even Dr. Oken, who, in the first movie, and that's Brent Spiner's character, by the way, you thought he was dead when the aliens tried to telepathically communicate through him, but he was actually just in a deep coma for 20 years. So they're all having these visions of the same symbol and premonitions of something terrible coming. And the Earth is about to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the war and having this big, huge shindig in Washington, D.C. So the aliens come, and and of course, like I said, the first ship that comes is not one of theirs, but they still blow it out the sky. But Levinson gets one of his friends, a pilot, in the movie. Let me get the cast pulled up here, see if I can find. We have Liam Hemsworth as a guy named Jake Morrison, who's a U.S. pilot. He's serving as a lieutenant in the Earth Space Defense, and he's actually the fiance of President Bill Pullman's character's daughter from the original movie. Now they do have the president's daughter from the original movie and the little kid that was Vivica Fox's character's son in the movie. They're supposed to be all grown up. Now they're not played by the same people, but they're supposed to be these characters grown up. Of course,
characters grown up.
What?
It's not supposed to be. They are these characters in adult form.
Anyway, so as I was saying, you have these characters that are the characters grown up, and of course the one who is the Vivica Fox's character's son, he grew up to be a pilot like his stepfather. Now, interestingly enough, they don't mention this in the movie, and I have no idea why they don't. But I only learned it by looking at the fluff from the website for Independence Day Resurgence, is that Will Smith's character, Hiller, he died in a test flight for one of those ships testing the anti-grav device. So originally, Roland Emmerich was going to have Will Smith in the movie, but Will Smith kind of, by the time he finally got it off the ground, Will Smith wasn't interested in doing sequels, and he had already gotten burned after doing After Earth with his son. I mean, have you ever seen After Earth, man?
I'm back and forth on After Earth for many reasons. In fact, I had a recent conversation about it. In fact, I would like to do a future segment on it in the future, but right now, no.
We do have a little bit of time. We can chew the fat about After Earth.
No, We're talking about this.
Oh, now you want to stay on target. Okay. So Will Smith had done After Earth. He got burned by that by the whole experience because the movie ended up being such a dismal failure. Which I saw After Earth. I actually thought it was okay.
You're just not gonna quit, are you?
No, I'm not. I thought it was okay, but I wasn't
Come
like
back to it at another time.
Anyway, I wasn't terribly into it. So anyway, Will Smith, after having been burned by After Earth, didn't want to have anything to do with it. So I don't know if this was just a way to give the finger to Will Smith, because like pretty much everybody from the first movie, the surviving characters that is, managed to come back for it, even if their roles were relatively brief. I'm looking at you, Vivica Fox. That was just sad.
Anyway, dude.
Don't dude me. You take me on side tracks all the time. Now,
It's not about a sidetrack. It's stay on focus here.
trying to. So anyway, so basically the aliens do come back in a ship that is about a quarter the size of the planet Earth. This ship has one of their queens on it. Where meanwhile, when Liam Hemsworth's character retrieves the weird spherical thing, brings it to Earth, they find out that inside is this mechanical alien creature that of a race that had shed their organic forms thousands of years ago. And they basically tell them, as I mentioned earlier, that they had actually come to help evacuate some of the human race to take them to a sanctuary planet where they could be trained to fight against the harvesters, as they call them. And then so the harvesters come, this huge ship, I'm talking thousands of miles long. Its widest point stretches from the UK to the U.S.'s east coast, lands in the Atlantic Ocean, all of it. And that's what is. For those of you who've seen the commercials, that's what is said by it's heading for the Atlantic Ocean. Which part? All of it. Yeah, literally, it sits itself down, all of it. And so the ship is so huge, it has a gravitational field of its own, causing some of the cities to fall upwards and then come back down. Now we can talk about the whole physics stupidity in just a bit. And so the ship lands. This Harvester Queen is actually looking for that alien. So when the first attack fails because the alien queen was kind of baiting Earth's forces, the next offensive is basically using this Wi-Fi signal, this sort of I guess you could call it a Wi-Fi signal, emitted by the alien, replicating it and taking the alien queen across the salt flats of Utah, where they keep the other alien hidden in a chamber that actually blocks off like different types of EM type signals, and then basically trying to finish off the alien queen, because the alien sphere thing, which looks like a Pokeball, by the way, I have to agree with my friends, tells them that you kill the queen and the other aliens are just going to lose their will to fight and leave, because the aliens have a hive mind, which is one of the things that they actually they kind of press on in this movie. Now, so anyway, they kill the alien queen, and sure enough, the alien ship leaves. And the way the movie ends, because Roland Emmerich really wants to do a sequel, is that now that the alien is safe, the alien sphere thing is safe, it wants to teach Earth how to use the technology so they can go out into space and take the fight to the harvesters. So that's how the movie goes, just plot-wise. It's very simple. So I want to get a little bit into more of what the whole movie is about. I mean, now what I'm on is the Wikipedia page, just looking at the cast of the movie. Give me just a second. Here we are. All right. Do you see this? I put it in the group chat. And that's the page I'm looking at, man. Now, yeah, I mean, it has like I said, the cast for the majority from the previous movie came back. Liam Hemsworth, Jeff Goldblum, Jesse Usher is the one who plays the son, or the stepson of Hiller. His name is Dylan Dubrow Hiller. Bill Pullman, Even Brent Spiner comes back as Dr. Oaken. Like I said, he was in a coma for 20 years and then wakes up. And he's just as crazy as ever. I think that he and Jeff Goldblum really did the best performances in the movie. Um, Brent Spiner having the time of his life playing Dr. Oaken. Jeff Goldblum, as I like to say, at his Jeff Goldblumiest, which is a real big pull. Vivica Fox even makes an appearance as Jasmine. She was the exotic dancer, of course, the mother of the little boy. Now, here's the interesting thing, though. They didn't use her much. And like I said, I'm going to spoil the living daylights out of the movie. Her character dies. When I think it's New York that's being upended again, when all the buildings are collapsing, she rescues a pregnant woman and her baby, sends them up in a helicopter, and they're trying to grab her, and then the whole bottom of the roof of the building gives out, and she goes falling to her death. And poor guy, the son is sitting there watching, when it happens. And that's actually one of the sadder parts of the movie. Now, I'm going to get a little bit into more of the movie. I just want to say that I did like this movie more than the first, just in the fact that it was more of a spectacle. However, this movie had a lot more problems with its plot. Before I get into any more, deep digging in the movie, do you have anything to say?
No, keep going.
You sure you don't have anything to say?
You want me to make something up, don't you?
If you have something, you telling me, oh, there are never any periods in my speech. You never get a chance to say anything. So say something if you have something to say.
I'm so much in your head. You hear my voice when I'm not even talking.
No, I'm just waiting. I'm trying to respectfully give you some, an opportunity to say something. It kind of disturbs me when you're very, very quiet.
Don't hurt yourself.
I never do. So, do you have anything to say?
No.
Surprise, surprise. That still creeps me out for some strange reason.
Like I said, my voice is in your head even when I'm not saying anything.
Well, the thing about it is this is a give and take. You're not saying anything, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be
a lot of giving.
If you don't have anything to say to the end of this is going to be a very short episode. Anyway, so I'm trying to say is that one of the problems with the movie is that is the same problem I have with Stargate, is that you don't care about a lot of these characters. Some you do. Now, this is not the big problem with Stargate. It's like in Stargate I didn't care about anybody. In this, there are characters you care about. But here's also another problem, is that you don't know who the main character is. For the most part, Jeff Goldblum hauls the movie the heaviest. He has the most attention drawing character, maybe next to Brent Spiner's character. But Liam Hemsworth also does this interesting Liam Hemsworth also does an interesting role in this movie. Now he plays this pilot, like I say, was serving in the ESD, the Earth Space Defense, and he is the former president's daughter's fiance. Her name is Patricia Whitmore. Now, she was also a pilot, but she quit the Air Force to take care of her father, who is suffering. Well, they don't really say what he's suffering from, but he seems to be kind of ill and not quite acting right. And it's said to be sort of a side effect of being in telepathic communication with the aliens. Everybody who's been in telepathic communication with the aliens is a little off for some reason. Even the African warlord, who actually understands some of the aliens' language. And the interest, he is a surprising character that you actually like, even though he has a very small part in the movie. I mean, he's there throughout the movie, but he doesn't do much except fight the aliens. But his character is I don't know, there's something about his character that's very likable. He's a stoic kind of person, seems to have an issue, with avenging his brother. I guess the aliens had killed his brother. And he also seems to know how to fight the aliens. And one thing that he says, because he's like a man of few words, he said, well, how do you, do you have any tips for us? And he says, you have to get them from behind. And one of the aliens, when they take him out of containment, so that the president takes him out of containment so he can communicate with them telepathically. So the alien basically tries to get away, and the alien tries to get away, and starts attacking everybody and taking one of their own weapons, because they have like huge stockpiles of the aliens' guns. And the alien takes one of the weapons and starts trying to kill people. So he takes the
Gets your gun?
so he takes the not the alien's gun, excuse me. While the alien is trying to kill everybody in the room, he slides under the alien, gets up, and he has two huge machetes that he slams into the alien's back because they have these huge tentacles. If you remember from the first movie, the aliens had those tentacles. Now, they didn't do a whole lot with the aliens as they were in the first movie. This one, though, I really liked in that they do a lot more with the exoskeleton things. So, so they reach out with those tentacle things and grab people with them, usually grabbing away their weapons or grabbing them by the neck or the arms, so they can. And I guess they're just a lot stronger. Now, like I said, that's one of the cool things I liked about the movie, is they do a lot more with the aliens in that exoskeleton thing. It's just because, of course, it's been 20 years. The visual effects have grown a whole lot more. They weren't using CG back in '96 as much as they do now. So, I was going to say. Okay, now Liam Hemsworth's character is also another one that is very, very interesting. Although a lot of people think that he's just plays sort of your generic cocky pilot guy, I think I still liked his character because he was kind of being Will Smith, but not really trying to be Will Smith. Whereas Jesse Usher's character, like I said, who was supposed to be the little boy, all grown up, and he really wasn't being Will Smith at all, which is okay. But they didn't give him a big enough role, and he wasn't really carrying it that much. Liam Hemsworth and Jeff Goldblum did sort of the lion's share in this one. But again, like I said, the movie, its focus just was kind of blurry, as to, who was a main character in there. Bill Pullman, like I say, still does a great job playing the president. As a matter of fact, he does a great job playing, a man who's a little bit broken. He walks with the aid of a cane. He looks kind of a lot thinner than he was, and he behaves as if he's, kind of suffering a lot of mental anguish. Now, maybe it's just because of the staggering losses and the stresses, due to the presidency at the time when the aliens attacked. And also, like I said, the effects of the telepathy on him, because he comes up in the middle of the whole big party that they're having when he tries to make a speech, but he just says, like, they're coming, and then as soon as he says that, it's like he gets hit by another wave of the alien telepathy, and then one of the ships comes through that rift. So I thought it was pretty interesting.
It's always a pain in the ass when the ship shows up right when you're having dinner.
Yeah, that was one of those things where where you kind of do have sort of a generic plot point thrown at you, and maybe that was an issue with the movie, is that it did have a lot of generic plot points thrown at you. This one, though, I think it was better in many ways than the first, especially at visual effects wise and action and the stakes. Well, the writing for the movie just wasn't as good. So whoever wrote the movie did not put things together as well as they were in the first movie. The first movie characters, and one of my friends did say, the characters changed. They matured. They went through changes. These characters didn't exactly change all that much. This is more sort of almost a victory lap, I guess you could say, for the first movie. Let me see. Judd Hirsch is back. Go ahead.
Well, isn't that what you'd call it?
Probably so, but like I said, with Roland Emmerich wanting to do a third movie, to finish off everything, I think this one ended up being more of a victory lap than I think he really intended it to be. But and also there were some things, of course, that just didn't make sense. But then, of course, the first movie they had some things that didn't make sense. But this one had a few more bits where you're like, okay, this is just kind of silly. For instance, Jeff Goldblum's character, David Levison, he is like the most interesting man in the world in this movie because he's the one who helped to save the world. And when he needs to go and make the he needs to go to the moon and investigate the spacecraft that's arrived, but they don't want him to. They want him to go back to Washington D.C. to attend the big party. And then when the first ship actually arrives, everyone else, you have this big deadlock about blowing thing out of the sky, and he's popping up saying, "This is not one of the alien ships. It's not the same. Don't destroy it." Everyone else will listen to him for everything else because he's supposed to be the go-to guy for anything on these aliens, but they don't listen to him do this, and they blow the ship up. It's
Okay, listen. It's some methodology you have to move the story along. You either have to make a colossal mistake or you turn into a colossal hero. I'm not going to even begin to argue this with you in storytelling. I'm not. It makes sense. I understand what they were attempting to do. I also understand what was achieved. I don't feel that the story itself was underrepresented or undertold. I feel that a portion of it could have been done better. That's it, better. And when I say better, what do I mean by better? All right. When you were watching this film, were you being nostalgic with yourself and going, okay, it was great umpteen years ago. It's going to be great again. Is that what you were telling yourself in your head?
No, actually, I was hoping that it would be good, but I wasn't sure what to expect. I went in saying, "Okay, what you got for me?"
But you watched every preview. You saw like 80% of the movie in the preview.
No, you didn't. That movie, those previews.
Yeah,
That movie don't say much about it at all.
yeah, they do.
As,
The parts that are important.
Did you see the movie?
No, not yet. I'll
Okay,
probably
then,
watch it
then
later tonight.
I have, and I know what I'm talking about. The movie trailers don't really say much about the movie at all.
And you make it sound like that's important that you know what you're talking about. Isn't that special? I bet your mom told you were special too.
Said the man who likes to think that everything he's got to say is important too.
I didn't say what's important. I'm just saying your mom said you're special, and I was ranking on you. But we don't want to do that because we all know your mom doesn't think you're special. Moving along here, it. Do you really? Let me not joke with you. Do you really think that this was a good film? There's a line in the sand.
Depends on how you define good.
No. Do you think it was a good film? I'm not even questioning if you can define a good film.
I thought it was dumb but good.
Okay. Why would you give it a pass?
Because I don't mind dumb but good movies. As a matter of fact, some can be downright entertaining. The first Independence Day was dumb but good.
But it cost you money to make that determination.
And?
Why would you spend your money?
Because I wanted to.
See, that's very immature. The statement is, why would you spend your money to watch a movie that you think is dumb? There's a complete question.
Because there is good dumb and there's bad dumb.
Show me an example of bad dumb.
Dumb and Dumber.
Okay, it's Dumb and Dumber or the sequel.
Actually, both. I was not impressed with either one.
Okay. Here's a dumb movie that was actually so dumb it was good because it was a parody on other movies. Tucker and Dale.
Never seen it.
Wow. It makes fun of horror movies.
Well, the Scream movies, scary movies made fun of horror movies, and that's another example to me of bad dumb. Oh, and the worst of bad dumb was Disaster Movie. I actually want that hour and a half of my life back. I was angry when I finished watching that. Now, I didn't watch it in the movies. One of my friends was watching it on TV. I would never have gone to see that piece of crap. But that was dumb and it was bad. It was insipid. It was boring. It was predictable in every possible way. The jokes were not funny. The just the humor was just completely over the top every single time, and not in a way that was endearing or silly. It was just bad. That movie had no right to exist. That's bad dumb. Good dumb is that the movie has silliness in it, but is sincere and has a charm to it. Mario Brothers to me is bad is dumb, but to me it's good dumb.
Wow, that's a leap. But okay.
Street Fighter to me is good dumb, you know.
Okay, I'm just gonna go with you, and I'm going to ask our producer director to put the trailer for Tucker and Dale versus Evil into our YouTube channel as a link, so you can see what I consider to be a dumb parody movie that actually is entertaining and good.
Well, here's the thing. Independence Day Resurgence really isn't a parody, though.
We're getting to my point. You say dumb and good. The only kind of dumb movie that I think that should be good is a parody. And it has to be a good parody. The first Scary Movie was funny. The third, fourth, and fifth one, depends. Anna Faris's parents live down the street, so it has to be good because I actually like her. But there's some that aren't, like Haunted House. The first one, funny as hell because you have Tia Mowry playing Psycho Chick. That's funny for anyone who watched Disney, 15, 20 years ago. So it's a nostalgic kind of dumb. But when a movie is trying to tell you a story and be serious and be science fiction and has no science and no fiction in it to tell the story, it's really missing the mark. And that was my problem with the original movie. It had story, but it wasn't science fiction. It was the equivalent of reading a World War II story or a Western, and the bad guys are coming over the hill. The British are coming across the water. The Germans are invading Poland.
Yeah, but does the essence of the story make it science fiction? No. What makes it science fiction is if it has to do with scientific possibility. And one of those possibilities is the possibility of life on other planets.
But
are them visiting us one day?
Watch this. You're extrapolating the science in the science fiction.
Well, that's not hard to do because it's right there. Usually in a science fiction movie, it's right there in front of your face.
Well, one of the things that you're looking at and that you're not getting in the process is, okay, you think you're seeing the science in the science fiction. You're not. You're absolutely not. And quit thinking that you are. Quit thinking that you're seeing science in science fiction. You're not. At what point do they start talking about gravitational?
When the ship is coming, they say that at its speed, the gravitational field will rip the planet to shreds.
Okay. Do they take the effort to even begin to explain it to you?
They do talk about it having its own gravitational field, and then of course when you see the ship coming in, the buildings on the cities falling upwards. Now, unfortunately, it's science fiction, but it's kind of badly made science fiction because, first of all, the ship being a quarter the size of the Earth would not have a strong enough gravitational field to do that because Earth's gravitational field would be too strong. It would hold everything steady. The problem is that the tidal forces would still cause massive tectonic shifts.
Okay, you said a lot of really hip and cool words, but do you think you explained it? I'm really serious. I'm not messing with you. I'm serious.
The ship is really big. It has its own gravity. It coming on the Earth, it would tear part of the Earth up.
Let me give you an example of something you said to me this evening along, which will help streamline exactly what I'm saying and what I mean. Okay. You said that this thing comes into the Atlantic Ocean,
Yes.
and you say that the Atlantic Ocean is how big?
I don't know exactly how wide the Atlantic Ocean is at its widest point. It's just I knew the ship was several thousand miles wide. They said exactly how wide it was, but I can't remember.
Okay. I'm just I'm just asking questions that make sense to me. And because I'm going to ask a question here based upon math, so be prepared. North America itself, which covers the United States pretty much, and all of Canada, is 9.54 million miles square. Sounds good?
Yeah, but that you're talking about the entire surface area of the continent,
Sounds good?
right? But I'm talking about width or length. Excuse me. Well, no, width. I am talking about width.
So, understanding that the Atlantic Ocean is 9.5 million miles square. I mean, not the Atlantic Ocean, the North American continent that we call the space between Panama to the Arctic Circle is 9.5 million square miles. Sounds good?
Yeah, I guess.
Sounds good. Okay. 3.5 times of those fits in the Atlantic Ocean.
3.5 what?
9.5 million, and be more precise, 9.54 million fits into the Atlantic Ocean
Okay, so
three,
the surface
three and
area
a
of the
half
Atlantic.
times.
Okay, so the surface area of the Atlantic Ocean is several million square miles, but I'm not. But I'm not. The ship isn't over the entirety of the ocean. It's only
That's
over.
exactly what you said.
No, I said. Listen, the ship. Yeah, okay. In the movie, they say all of it, but they really don't mean all. They show the ship like on Earth. It's only a quarter of the size of the Earth. It stretches out from from Europe to at its widest point. It stretches out from Europe to to North America's east coast, and it settles on like the northern part of the Atlantic Ocean.
Sure. Here, I'll I will just ask my friendly friend the internet a question that we all know. Let's see. Pick a good coastal city. Passaic. Passaic, New Jersey to, we'll say, Dublin. Miles. The distance between Passaic, New Jersey and Dublin, Ireland is 3,175 miles.
Okay, so yeah, I think as a matter of fact, that was what was going on. It's about 3,000 miles wide.
Okay, that's one dimension.
The ship was almost a perfect circle, though shaped a little bit like a starfish. But like if you were to kind of measure completely around it, it would almost make a perfect circle.
Okay, so that would be 3,175 squared, which I have mathematical capability to do that. I know the answer to that question. You just go 3,175 times 3,175, and you get greater than the size of.
Okay, enough of the math lesson. Okay,
Okay. You watch this. You want me to stop with the math lesson, but listen to what I'm getting ready to say to you. Where's the science in the science fiction? Even though it sounds like you're giving me the science in the science fiction,
there's
you
science in
sound
it.
like a flat earther.
Like I said, the science in it is not really good science. And also there are some inconsistencies in the movie. And,
Because with those inconsistencies comes this piece of information for you to understand and know. If something is linear and stretches from Dublin to, say, Passaic, New Jersey, and then it is equal size on equal size on all sides, it is still only 10 million.08 square miles.
Yeah, and okay.
The Atlantic Ocean itself is 29 million square miles. So I'm sorry. Here, I'm trying to interject the problem. You asked me for my opinion. I'm interjecting my problem into this, and I'm telling you, there's no science in the science fiction. Even
I'm
the,
sorry,
even the even the even the basic science of a simple junior high math is non-existent in the storytelling.
well, like I said, I still disagree. In the case of Independence Day Resurgence, and really in Independence Day as well, there's science in there. It's just bad science, and also slightly inconsistent science. That would go into some of the whole deals with them with at the end how Liam Hemsworth's character and all the other pilots were flying in hijacked alien ships. They're sitting there in a chair that was built for something that was several times bigger than them, and trying to control and pilot these ships. And then, of course, those ships being put under autopilot, and then how they managed to escape really didn't make any sense.
But,
There was a lot of things
but
going
watch
on.
this. You're still too far out of cycle already. Just back up and say, yes, you're correct. I agree with you. There was no science in the movie, and then you don't have to talk as much.
Yeah, and I have some beachfront property in the Sahara I want to sell you.
But
So
but you know it's true, don't you? You've already figured it out, and you're just having a
but
hard time going. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to let him be right. It's
you,
okay. It's painless.
you really got to stop talking about the things you want to be true, because just because you want it to be true doesn't mean it is. Now,
Let's talk about that list of things that I would like to be true. I
that's
still
okay, because we're trying to talk about Independence Day
We're
Resurgence.
going to talk about Independence Day
We
Resurgence,
don't have
and
much time to talk about.
let's talk about what I want to be true. I do believe, and I genuinely and honestly mean this, that you can have science fiction films that have science in them. You can have science fiction films that make sense to the least educated of us and teach them something, if nothing but just a little piece of information called common mutable sense. It is doable. The world will not go crazy if you explain to somebody in Texas what square miles are. The world will not end if you explain to someone and help them grow their intelligence in a movie theater. It won't hurt. There's nothing to be afraid of. In fact, increasing the intelligence of the audience allows you to make a better film.
Okay, well, the thing about this is that still a science fiction movie is going to have science in it, and I'm sorry, it's because you don't see the science doesn't mean there isn't science.
I didn't say I didn't see it. You've already admitted that it's bad, it's incorrect. You even admitted that the physics doesn't make any sense, but yet you're going to argue, oh, it's okay, don't matter. People won't notice, they won't care.
No, 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 no. Now you're putting words in my mouth. I didn't say that. I was saying that I didn't say that people won't notice. Obviously, people have noticed because, unfortunately, this movie hasn't done very well in the box office. Personally, I liked the movie. As a matter of fact, I actually loved the movie. But like I said, it's big, it's dumb, and it's glorious, as I like to describe it. But if you're going in there to get a science lesson, you're gonna be coming out of there either really really messed up, or you're just gonna realize what kind of a fool you were.
I'm not talking about just this movie. I'm talking about every movie. When you walk into the theater and you see something that just you're told to suspend your belief and go with it.
You mean disbelief?
Suspend your belief. You suspend your belief by agreeing that this is okay, yeah, that's possible. And you wind up taking this out into the world with you. And
And
when someone shows you the difference and you go, no, it's not like that. I saw it in a movie.
well, there's a reason. Oh, that because I was gonna say, for people who will sit there and try to, you know, and nitpick a movie to death, and you realize this was not a movie that was really made to be nitpicked. Yeah. Looking at you, James. But not you, not the James that I know. But anyway, it's how do I want to put this?
In
I
English.
tell them, dude, you don't derail my train of thought. I tell them, it's just a movie. In the case of Independence Day, it's just a movie. I think anyone who sits there and nitpicks the movie to death on the scientific inconsistencies is just being seriously jaded and is overthinking it horrendously.
And see, I'm just the opposite. I'm not saying this movie is all wrong, all bad for those reasons. I'm telling you, most movies are all wrong, all bad for this reason.
That doesn't make it sound any better.
I'm not trying to make people who make movies feel good. Their entire job is to put a product on the screen that you will watch. Period. There's no in between about that. There is no mystery there. And if it is possible to put something on the screen which increases your intelligence and entertains you, why would you not do both?
Because sometimes a person doesn't want to go to the movies to sit there and and think. Sometimes they just want to watch a movie.
Well, it's obviously they don't want to go and think because they sit there and they believe what's shown to them.
Now that does,
Reverse your thinking just for a moment. Reverse your thinking just for a moment.
hold on, you stepped on something really interesting.
Sure.
Because I do have a problem with people who go to a movie who go to a movie specifically to not think, because they miss out on a lot of really good stuff. And but Independence Day is made for to not be a movie to think too heavily about.
Okay. Now, I've allowed you to get that out. Now, listen to what I'm saying. You and I both admit the physics don't work, the science is junk, and doesn't make sense. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, just imagine if you went down and you sat down and you didn't have to think, and you were delivered science that did make sense. You were delivered math information that was practical, and it was all the same. Would you or would you not enjoy the movie all the same and come out the richer for it?
Depends on how the movie is presented.
The same exact movie, no difference.
It wouldn't be
Just
the same. It wouldn't be the same movie.
no. Change the math, change the physics,
It would.
make the physics make sense.
It would not be the same movie then.
You are quite the luddite.
No, I'm serious. In the case of, like, for instance, Independence Day, if you were to do that, it wouldn't be the same movie. You would have massive differences. And I'm not trying to say that it would make the movie better or worse. I'm just saying is it wouldn't be the same. That's all. You know.
Anyway,
Well, and regardless of whether the science is good or bad in this one, some people, yeah, that did bother them, and to those people, I guess, it just wasn't for you. For me, for someone who enjoyed the first one, as much as I absolutely enjoyed it, I still thought this was really great. It to me had higher stakes. I was glad to see a lot of the characters have come back. They made a lot of things to be more interested in, and even expanded on what they knew about the aliens. They had a special prison built into Area 51 that contained their telepathy, which does lead to another inconsistency in the movie, by the way, being the fact that people are still getting telepathic messages from the aliens, and the aliens, even in the prison, when the big huge ship is coming, they seem to somehow know that it's coming because they're all celebrating, saying she's coming. As a matter of fact, they took one out of the containment unit, and the president exposed himself to the alien so he could communicate to the other people and tell them, what was going on, and they said, she is coming, she is all. So, that's one of those little inconsistencies in the movies. And I know that for one of my friends, it really, really bugged the living hell out of him. With me, I mean, some of the things he raised, some of the things I'm talking about are things that he raised that I do kind of agree with. But it wasn't a deal breaker to me because, like I said, Roland Emmerich wasn't setting out to make an Oscar-winning movie and was trying to make another popcorn movie in the vein of how the first one had come out. And I really enjoyed it. And I'm kind of sad you didn't go see it. I mean, I think you would have had a much more interesting perspective and in talking about the movie than you came off right out the gate, trying to say, oh, I know exactly what this movie's gonna be about. Bop, 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 bop. And I was like, no, not exactly. And you were just like floored.
Actually, no, it wasn't, because even the surprise wasn't. Even
Dude,
the surprise reveal wasn't that entertaining.
Your voice went up several octaves. I'm like, you're serious? So tell me when you've been surprised.
I'm asking questions of you're serious in the vein of, couldn't they have done something else?
No.
But still, my entire 100% beef here is realistically about introducing smarter film.
You're just trying to off.
No, seriously, no. Introducing smarter film, making better moviegoers, giving me something to walk away with that is spendable, that is a commodity, other than your junk information that is unrealistic. Let me walk away at least with a piece of information that can be taken with me into the real world.
And I say,
you're like, oh, that's not important. You don't need that.
I didn't. No. I'm not saying that it's not important to have some movies that are like that, but you don't do that with every movie. And if you're the kind of person who watch a movie to be intellectually stimulated,
no, stop talking. Listen, I talk to you for 2 hours a week, and you make my freaking head fall off my shoulders because you're such a knucklehead. What are we going to talk about next week?
That remains to be seen. It will definitely be something interesting.
Oh! Now I got to do a TBA.
Yeah, actually, yes.
Tits, butts, and ass. Damn. Okay, I don't want to talk about that with you.
Yeah, you made that bad joke. I didn't. Just let that be known to all the viewers.
It was a bad joke.
Anyway, guys, that's pretty much all I can say about Independence Day Resurgence. I personally enjoyed it. I recommend you go check it out yourself to make your own decisions, which my friend here did not do.
You don't have to see it now. You've already told us all about it. What are we talking about next week? I don't care about this show anymore. It's behind me.
Some people will still go see it even after watching someone spoil living daylights out of it. I know I do sometimes. So anyway, everyone, remember, if you have any questions or comments or any suggestions, please contact us at nerdsnameless@gmail.com. Thank you once again for watching, everyone. Remember, we are nerds. We are nameless. Always be a nerd. Don't be nameless yourself.
Wow, you did that relatively fast. You almost act like you're a professional or something. You still got time to burn. So that means we can talk about what I want to talk about.
Yeah, and for about 3 minutes, unless you just want to say goodbye, and we can tell the people goodbye. We can tell the nice people goodbye.
Oh, 117 minutes and still going strong. Jesus, dude, how do you do it, man? Do you have batteries?
That's a question you can ask my parents.
One of the things that has slid by me today is Batman, Superman, Dawn of Justice, the 30-minute ad.
Good Lord, you really are going to talk some more. Okay.
We need to. I mean, can't have dead air. But have you watched it yet?
Yeah, we talked about it several weeks ago.
Have you watched the new version?
No, I'll wait till it comes out on DVD before I do that.
It came out on DVD yesterday.
Dawn of Justice?
Yeah.
Well, then I'll watch it eventually.
Okay, there's 30 minutes of added footage to it, and then on next week, in 20 days, the Blu-ray comes out, and there's going to be additional added footage to that as well.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, the added footage.
The added footage does make the difference to the telling of the story.
Then they really should have left it in. People would not have been so upset, I guess. But I'll be the judge of that when I actually watch the movie again with the added footage.
True fans wouldn't be upset, but think about it, man. Sitting in the movie and watching a 3-hour movie.
I'm not a huge DC person, as I said before.
But
and
that's not what I'm talking about.
Dawn of Justice, there was some issues.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about someone who likes the film, who wanted more in the film. Would you have sat still for a 3-hour superhero movie with a 30-minute fight scene?
Yeah, actually, I would.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if it's DC or not. Now, it's
No,
8
that's
o'clock.
not. That wasn't the point I was trying to make. I was just saying is that I'm not a big fan of DC, but I still enjoyed Dawn of Justice, even though I saw there were problems with it.
That has nothing to do with this. The question is, superhero movie, would you watch another 30 minutes? You've already said yes. Don't make me come over there and hurt you.
Oh, I'm so scared. Well, besides, is there anything you have to say at the end? Because we have.
Have what?
Never
I've
mind.
already said what I wanted to say at the end. Never mind nothing. You're always the one talking. You're just the one.
Goodbye, everybody.